All right, Castlevania fans, buckle up because we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and terrifying characters in Castlevania, Nocturne, Drolta Tzuentes. You've seen her as Erzsebet Báthory's ruthless right hand, a vampire shrouded in mystery, power, and pure devotion. But who is she really? Where did she come from? And how did she go from being a high priestess in ancient Egypt to one of the most dangerous vampires in the Castlevania universe? Welcome back to Your Nerdy Show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Drolta isn't just another vampire minion. She's a mastermind, a zealot, and a force of nature. Her story spans centuries, from sacred temples to bloody battlefields, all leading to the ultimate showdown. Today, we're breaking down her full journey, the rise, the reign, and the brutal fall of Drolta Tzuentes. Let's get into it.
She is also a goddess of war.
Origins and transformation into a vampire. Before becoming a vampire, Drolta was the high priestess of Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess of war, vengeance, and healing. This role not only highlights her immense age as a vampire, but also her deep ties to mysticism and ancient rituals. In the year 1199 CE, Drolta was seen fulfilling her sacred duties in the Temple of Sekhmet in southern Egypt. As a priestess, she was responsible for protecting the goddess's sacred body and providing healing to the people who came seeking aid. One fateful day, as she was preparing medicine for a sick child, the temple was raided by bandits. Drolta attempted to fight back, reaching for a Kalpish sword to defend herself, but she was ultimately overwhelmed and knocked unconscious. When she awoke, she found the temple desecrated, her fellow worshippers slaughtered, and the body of Sekhmet stolen. To make matters worse, she witnessed a vampire feeding on the lifeless body of the very child she had been trying to save. Enraged and desperate for strength, she fought the vampire and managed to kill it. In her moment of grief and fury, she drank its blood, transforming herself into a vampire, believing that this newfound power was the answer to her fervent prayers.
The goddess in you!
The rise of the cult of Sekhmet. Drolta's transformation marked the beginning of her long and ruthless journey. Over the centuries, she likely sired other vampires, converting them into followers of the cult of Sekhmet. She became obsessed with resurrecting the power of the goddess, attempting to find a vessel strong enough to contain her essence. The ritual required feeding the goddess's sacred blood to chosen candidates, but time and again, they perished, unable to withstand the divine energy.
Countess Erzsebet Báthory.
Discovery of Erzsebet Báthory. After centuries of failed attempts, Drolta's search led her to one of history's most infamous figures, Erzsebet Báthory. By the year 1614, the notorious noblewoman had been imprisoned for her countless crimes, murdering and torturing young women. Instead of viewing Erzsebet as a monster to be condemned, Drolta saw her as a worthy candidate, someone whose depravity and unyielding made her the perfect vessel for Sekhmet's power. Drolta turned Erzsebet into a vampire and took her to Egypt, to the Temple of Sekhmet. There, she subjected Erzsebet to the sacred ritual, feeding her the goddess's blood. Unlike the previous failed candidates, Erzsebet not only survived, but fully absorbed Sekhmet's essence, transforming into a being of unparalleled power, an avatar of the goddess.
The real one.
Serving Erzsebet and the path to France. During her time serving Erzsebet in Russia, Drolta assisted her in her acts of cruelty, particularly in terrorizing the local humans and acquiring young girls and boys for the Countess to torture and kill for her nourishment and amusement. During this time, Drolta would unknowingly meet Tara and her younger sister. Having raided the village their Speaker clan had temporarily settled on to help them, and successfully captured the latter for Erzsebet. In 1792, Drolta arrived in France to make the required preparations for the upcoming arrival and rising in power of Bathory. Her job mainly consisted of organizing the land's vampire population and carrying out the required politics between the factions to favor and empower their own position. One of her major tasks consisted of negotiating with the abbot of the town of Makakul to build them an army of night creatures by supplying him with fresh dead bodies, as he secretly was a forge master. The night of Erzsebet's arrival and Drolta's demise. The night of Bathory's arrival eventually came, and shortly afterward, the Vampire Queen put her main plan into motion by using a solar eclipse with the intention of perpetuating an eternal night, and with this, letting all the vampires roam free. Drolta manifested this new power by transforming into a flying, succubus-like creature with fiery hair and vastly increased abilities. She fended off Richter Belmont and his allies at the Abbey when they were attempting to rescue their friend Maria Renard from their grasp. Maria's mother, Tara, proposed Bathory take her instead and let her daughter leave, to which the Vampire Queen agreed. Despite this, Drolta still gave pursuit to Richter and the others on the nearby hills while they were still fleeing. However, when she was about to deal the first strike, she was unexpectedly pierced through the back in mid-flight by the blade of a sword, wielded by none other than Alucard, the son of Dracula, who had apparently been looking for Richter with the intent to help against the evil at work. Alucard then abruptly pulled the sword free, causing Drolta to fall to the ground, where her more succubus-like features dissolved. The mortally wounded Drolta was able only to clutch at her fatal wound, gawp at her killer, and scream before finally succumbing to death, while her subordinates abruptly fled rather than face Alucard.
Father Forge Master, this was very kind.
Resurrection of Drolta. You'd think getting stabbed in the heart would be enough to put an end to someone like Drolta Tzuentes, but not this time. After her death, her body was retrieved by her devoted cultists and delivered straight to Erzsebet Báthory herself. And let's just say Erzsebet was not happy about losing one of her most loyal followers. But instead of mourning, she decided to take matters into her own hands. Literally, with the help of Emmanuel and his Forge Master machine, Erzsebet arranged for Drolta's resurrection. But this wasn't just any revival. Drolta was reborn stronger than before, now a fusion of vampire and night creature. This transformation made her an even more fearsome warrior, giving her monstrous strength and durability. Now back in action, she stood by Erzsebet's side, ready to unleash chaos on France. She was even the one to brand Olrox with the cult symbol, showing just how much she despised his betrayal. Throughout the season, Drolta proved just how dangerous she had become. She tore through revolutionary soldiers with ease, tanked cannon fire like it was nothing, and battled Richter and Alucard multiple times, showcasing her brutal combat skills. One of her major missions included retrieving Sekhmet's mummified remains from a mansion, leading to a massive battle against the heroes in the streets of Paris. She especially had it out for Olrox, seeing him as the ultimate traitor. Fate of Drolta. But for all her power, even Drolta couldn't escape betrayal, this time from someone she trusted. After Erzsebet suffered a major defeat at the hands of Alucard, Richter, Yusta, Maria, and Annette, who was possessed by Sekhmet's Ake spirit, Drolta initially tried to help her escape, but then she made a power move of her own. Deciding Erzsebet was no longer useful, Drolta turned on her master, sank her fangs into her, and drained her, stealing her power for herself. With this new strength, she briefly turned the tide of battle, even managing to knock Alucard aside. But before she could finish off Richter, Sekhmet possessed Annette intervened, reclaiming the stolen power and condemning Drolta for all the terrible things she had done. Now weakened, enraged, and on the brink of madness, Drolta made one last desperate stand. It all ended with Richter delivering the final blow. Alucard tossed his sword to him, and with a surge of magic, Richter enlarged it and struck Drolta down. Shocked and unable to stop it, she was cleanly bisected, bringing her reign of terror to an end for good this time. And just like that, the once mighty priestess who had terrorized France and served the vampire messiah was no more. Our nerdy thoughts. And there you have it, the dark, twisted, and absolutely wild story of Drolta Tzuentes. From an ancient priestess seeking divine strength to a vampire mastermind orchestrating the rise of a dark messiah, her journey is nothing short of legendary. But even with all her power, all her schemes, she met a brutal end at the hands of Richter, proving that no matter how strong you are, there's always someone stronger. She clawed her way back from death, betrayed her own master for power, and still, despite everything, fell in the end. In a way, she was the architect of her own downfall, her hunger for power, her blind devotion to Erzsebet until it wasn't convenient anymore, and her sheer brutality made her one of the most dangerous forces in Castlevania. Nocturne. But at the end of the day, power alone wasn't enough to save her. Betrayal and revenge had been her weapons for centuries. But when it came down to it, she couldn't outrun them herself. So, what did you think of Drolta's arc? Did she get the ending she deserved, or do you think she should have lasted longer? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe Drolta's story is truly over, or could there be more to her influence in Castlevania, Nocturne? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the Castlevania universe. Until next time, stay sharp and watch out for vampires.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.